let's begin then. 2146, your SMS line at Metropole TBKE across all your social media platforms. I have a very interesting topic for you today. If you're looking to, I would say, couple up, for lack of a better word, this year, and then you're in that relationship, finance conversations are a must if you're really in a relationship. That is a must. So this morning, we are tackling this, how to handle finances as a couple. And we'll have a couple who are well experienced in that area. We're going to give you those round bits on exactly how you're supposed to handle it. All right, let's get into it. Doing business together and thriving as a family is a huge plus. But managing money as a family, and especially a couple, is something else. Now today, we're joined by a couple to share their insights on how best they handle money as a family and are also working together in a business. Now, we have with us Mary Gitari, who is the CEO, Brand Spark PR, and her husband, Paul Karingithi, who is the strategy lead at Brand Spark PR. Well, guys, welcome to Metropole Television. It's a pleasure to have you here this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's get into that conversation. And I'm going to start with you, Mary, because they say ladies first. All right, let's address it from there as well. Yes, can you tell us who you are? That's the first thing as well, because I see PR and Brand Spark as well is attached together. Let's have a little background of who you are.
Sure. So, as you've said correctly, I'm Mary Gitari. We do share a name. As you know, Kikuyus are named after their fathers. And their family names then become their middle names. So, Mary Gitari is married to Paul Gitari Karingithi.
I see now.
That's right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't inherit the father's name, I inherit his personal name.
Yes.
Right, but it also helps in business. So we've been married now for 12 years.
Congratulations, let me say that.
Thank you.
And I've been running the business for 10 years.
Yes.
So I am a PR practitioner, have been for the last 17 years. And Brand Spark PR actually was born out of the need for me to have an opportunity for me to run my family, so to speak.
Yes.
And be able to attend to matters at home and matters in the office as well. So that independence from the previous agency where I used to work, it was very hard to balance family life and agency. And therefore, I branched out into business with encouragement from my friend. And we started our business together, and we always have done business in groups of people that we have.
Yes.
That. So it's a friendly environment, and everybody is bringing their best to the table. So that is a little bit about myself. I think we'll keep getting to know each other as the show proceeds.
Fantastic. Paul, let me rope you in as well.
Yes.
The conversation this morning is just touching on finance as well. We're going to get there because that's my next part as well. Working together, does that help also in sort of knowing what the other person is doing, sort of keeping each other on check?
Well, it does. We were in the same industry for the longest time.
Yes.
So she was in public relations, I was in advertising.
Yes.
And actually, how to join the business was for an agency. I wasn't too happy about my job. She was like, we've got a lot of work, but we don't have enough money.
Yes.
So you could come and be broke. And I was like, maybe I need the happiness more than the money.
Yes.
And so I was like, let me join you. You never know, the money will come. And back then we were just married. We didn't have any children. So we were like, okay, let's see how this thing goes. And 10 years. And I think just that element of being in complementary industries.
Yes.
Us, so that we are able to then know, okay, what are we doing? How do we go about that? How do we play on each other's skills? And a bit, the thinking is a bit different, but once you put it to the table, you're able to then say, okay, this is a solution we can craft to the client.
Yes.
I think there's some times where we assume that because you work in the same business, you absolutely know what the other person is doing. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes I'm handling a project on this side, she's handling a project on this side. So sometimes you just touch base, like every 2-3 days and say, how's your project going? Oh, mine is going this way. These are where the challenges are. This is where we are. And I think just you have to learn how to communicate about what you're doing over a bit of time, because sometimes when you work in the same business, you don't see each other in the office always at the same time. Someone is in and out. Somebody else is very busy doing something that is taking up all their time. So yeah, I think it's learning how to communicate so that you all know, okay, this is where we are, this is what we are doing at the same time.
Pretty much. All right. Now, let's begin now for the one thing that you have to know about handling finances together as a couple. And I would like to think you didn't just get into that. There was some little journey into that. That's what the story is. Can we know about it?
Yeah, sure. We have always had an opportunity to have an accountant, let me say, somebody in the office who helps us with the finances.
Yes.
And as much as we have oversight of what is happening, we have to abide by the rules. I remember having to write a small little note to self to say that I am different from the business. I am the nurturer of this business, and I have to wait for it to grow up enough to pay me what I want it to pay me,
Yes.
to reap the benefit of what I think it can achieve for me. And therefore, you have to call yourself into a meeting a lot of the times, because sometimes you could have 0 shillings in the bank and your business has 250,000, and you have to realize that that is not your money. Therefore, those journeys have come after a lot of mistakes and a lot of having to really be humble and learn and listen to what the finance people are telling you, that you
Yes.
cannot have the same ATM card. It's a lot to take in, and it has taken us quite a period of time to be able to see the effects
Yes.
of separating our family finances from our business finances.
Pretty much. All right, Paul, let me also get you in on that as well.
Okay.
Is it important that as a couple, because Mary's saying that, well, you are lucky to have someone in the office who advises you on exactly how you can separate your personal finances from the business finances. Is it important that this is a lesson that you have to take as a couple? Do you think that you would have done it by yourselves? And do you say, well, we don't need the finance guys to tell us exactly how to separate our finances?
No, I don't think you can do it by yourself, because
Yes.
the business, one is an entity on alone. So it's an entity on its own and has certain obligations to other people, not you. So you have your government regulators, you have to file returns, you have to pay tax, you have to do VAT. So there's those things that need an expert in that area. And yeah, I might know a bit about money, but I'm not an expert in that area. And so
Yes.
it means that you have to have that advice, because the things that come along in your business journey, if you don't have that advice, you feel like you're always digging a hole. I mean, we've had to, in our 10-year journey, we've had to deal with KRA and do a KRA audit. And that helped because we had somebody in finance and we were able to sit down and say, where are we? What have we not done?
Yes.
If you don't have that expertise, then what happens is you just find yourself in a very big problem. And a lot of SMEs hear KRA and they shudder. And I'm like, why? KRA is just a regulator. You just need to come and get them to sit at the table and have a conversation. And so that separation always has to be there, because you're not expert in that area. And when you understand that from the very beginning, you're like, I need an expert in this particular area, because I will never be an expert in it. And it's quite a number of areas. Legal. How do you do your contracts? Do you have a lawyer who looks at them? Are you covered just in case you have a client who wants to break the contract? Sometimes you do those things in-house, and you find the client actually got one on you because the contract wasn't looked at by a legal expert.
Yes.
And so sometimes you just need somebody else to have that eye who's capable in their area of expertise, because you're capable in your area of expertise, and that's where the clients are coming to you.
Yes.
I think on the element of money, also when you're running a business together, when the money comes in, you also have to decide, okay, now the money has left the business, it has come into our pockets. How do we then allocate it? And I think for us, for the longest time, that was where we needed to learn. You know,
Yes.
who makes the decisions? How do the decisions get effected?
That's
And
exactly what I wanted to
sometimes
ask Paul.
because-
I'm sorry for catching you there, because then yes, it's
Yes.
about handling that income now. So once it trickles down to
Yeah.
your pockets now, and you work together, you do know the source of this income has come from this area, and this is how we get it. Who makes that decision on exactly how the money is supposed to be used? Mary, would like to take that.
Well, to be honest, in every marriage, there's
Yes.
always somebody who's better at one thing
Yes.
and the other person who's learning. Therefore, I happen to be the person who has a little bit more experience with budgeting, because I've always done it since I was in campus.
Yes.
And I brought this skill to the table. We have fought a lot about budgeting,
Always.
and even understanding the vocabulary
Yes.
behind the word budget.
Yes.
You know, and the word saving and the word investment. You know,
Yes.
those 2-3 things. When you say, somebody hears it in a different way because they have a different background. Therefore, we have come a long way, and we have had to do classes.
Yes.
One of the classes we do that our church offers is called Couples and Money. And we did it the first time. I recommended that we do it, and Paul was like, no, I don't have time to do this. And I was like, I told him, you know, I believe God is going to bless us. We're going to be so rich. Can we just plan for the riches that are coming? As opposed to looking at it as if somebody is ailing and wounded. You look at it as if there's a goal to achieve it, and
Yes.
you're running towards it.
Yes.
So just being surrounded by that kind of content helped us to align on what, first of all, other couples have challenges with, and hear how we too can navigate. So I end up having, I am the one who initiates all conversations around budgeting. And sometimes I win, sometimes I lose.
Pretty much. Paul, talk to me about
Yes.
how you handle that money that therefore goes into savings. Must you know how much money I'm going to save? Do you save by yourself, or she saves, you save, and then she asks you how much have you saved? Is it a one leeway do you have around that area when it comes to saving that income that you get from the same business that you two are running as well?
Okay, so what has happened, we have fought about this for the longest time, because for, you know, I'm like, this saving is not making money for us. But then now we actually, after going through the course, we also learned that maybe it's the way we use our terminology. She uses saving, I use investing.
Yes.
So we're like, okay, can we save, then put the money to investment? Okay, then she will be like, let's set a goal. And so once we set a goal, we're able to then say, we will save here for money we can access, but we will save there or invest there for money that we need down in the future.
Yes.
So for example, if I'm planning a holiday at the end of the year, I start saving now, I'll put that money aside. I keep telling her, you know, I'm putting aside this amount of money. My goal is at the end of the year, I'll have this money to pay for a holiday. And so we keep on pushing each other on that.
Yes.
On the other side, we will save some money maybe in a bank account, which just covers us just in case anything was to happen across the month, you know, just unexpected expenses. And sometimes we look at that money and we're like, yay, we've reached this goal. Okay, can we reach the next one? So I think after a lot of fighting, I came to understand that maybe we are actually working in the same direction. It's just how we discuss the money.
Yes.
And how we spend it.
Yes.
So now the conversations are a bit more cordial. I'm like, I want to do this. Then we will be able to then say, okay, maybe we can do it in a month.
Yes.
Okay, we have the money. How do we find it? What do we do? How do we then bring it together and say, we have found the money, let's do this thing that we set ourselves to do.
Yes. All right,
Yeah.
Mary, I hear Paul say, well, with a bit of fight here and there, you realize that, well, you're walking to the same direction. Talk to me. What is this communication strategy that now you have developed between you and Paul that allows you say, well, no, yes, maybe, or maybe wait?
It's very hard. You know, money is a very sensitive topic.
Yes.
And one of my weaknesses is that I always want to pay everybody the minute the money comes in. I want to fulfill my obligations. I'm one of those people who I don't want to have debt. I don't want somebody thinking about me and thinking, that lady has not paid me this amount.
Yes.
You know, so I always feel like my reputation is on the line when I owe somebody money. And he, on the other hand, is very patient, and he's like, our family needs come first. You could pay everybody and then we're left with nothing. And therefore, that keep consistent checking in. So whatever money comes in, sometimes, to be honest, the business is not able to pay us our salary all at the same time.
Yes.
So we manage to get in bits and pieces whenever it comes through. And whatever comes in, the first thing I do is I send an SMS and say, I have received this amount, and this is how I think I want to spend it. And he sees all my to-debts over there at the beginning, and then we're left with no money for the month. And he's like, please make sure you consider also the fact that we need to leave. And I find that very invaluable. So keeping on checking and making sure that you trust the other person has your best interest at heart.
Yes.
And the family's interest at heart.
Yes. Pretty much. All right.
Yeah.
Paul, you like to add as well on that as well?
Yes, I think for me, it has been also doing it the other way, like considering maybe we also need to reduce some of our debt.
Yes.
Because I will spend all the money. I'm the guy for chop the money, make everyone happy. But we also have to cover some of our obligations. So now that balance of saying, yes, we need to use this money for the family, but we also have these obligations that we need to cover. And so that becomes an ongoing conversation. So we're always saying, here, we've gotten some money, let's do this, but also let's pay these obligations. That really helps. So that communication, constant communication, works very well.
Pretty much. Now, let's talk about brand spark PR. I mean, Mary is the CEO, you're the strategy lead as well. What plus does it give you that at the end of the day, you're running a business together and you're actually at those key positions in that business as a couple? Mary, is there anything that you're gaining by him, Paul, being around and being one of those key people you have to look to when it comes to strategy and implementing it?
Yes, absolutely. And I really admire how the Indians run their business.
Yes.
And if you think of how they always have family into every key roles, and it's not a mistake. It's something that's by design in their culture.
Yes.
And I really admire that, because what that does is that it gives your business a generational lifespan. Because a lot of us start our businesses for the short term, just to meet our daily bread. But when you think about it as an opportunity for this business to continue down different generations, then you become more patient and you become more diligent. Therefore, having Paul in the business has really helped just to bring a lot of clarity into some of the jobs that we do. And also, if I'm not able to attend a meeting, they know that he is able to represent the company very well, because he knows who we are, what we do, why we do it. And he's 100% committed, even if, he's not taking out a salary from the office, because we do take one salary, I think,
Yeah.
from the
Thereabouts.
business, because we're not yet able to afford him. He's too expensive for us.
Paul, let me,
But it's,
yes, Paul, let me hear
Yeah.
your sentiment on that as well. I mean, you have Mary as your CEO, but then at the end of the day, you are the head of that strategy. You're the one who's shining directions in which the business should go. What has having her as part of that business and the helm of that business, I mean, what does it do to you? What impetus does it add to the way in which you work?
I think it gives me a lot of what would we call, like, motivation.
Yes.
So I'm like, we are together in this. We have to go and do this, and it means that there's nowhere I won't walk into, because I know, this is for family. This is for family. We're gonna do this.
Yes.
And most of the times we will be able to then say, what do we want to achieve? Let's go and get it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? And I like that idea of being able to then tag team, because she's very good at being able to talk and open doors. I'm good at thinking behind the scenes and saying, okay, so I think this is what those guys might want to hear.
Yes.
And so that way we're able to tag team, so that then even when we're going in for a presentation, we've already covered our bases, and also just letting yourself know that there's nowhere you can't go, The only thing that anyone will say is no. So, at least you'll have tried.
Yes.
So just being able to keep motivated, and she really helps in keeping us motivated. She's like, no door cannot be opened. You want to see the president today, we can do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So I like that.
Yes.
Keep motivated.
Yes, Mary, as we come to the end of this conversation, the people who are even afraid of getting into business with their partners, they'd rather not, sort of separating family from their business and their finances as well. What advice would you have for them? Because I know you have taken a couple of lessons here and there, and from experience, 10 years is a long time. You could give us something that they could take home.
Yes, I think there's a lot of opportunity for couples to do business together,
Yes.
because like Paul has said, it's for the good of the family, and whatever comes in to the business trickles down to the family. Then the values that you share, also the experiences that you share, are also very important, and you get the same stories. So when you're coming to communicate in the evening, or your life is enriched because you have the same background experience with each other. Because if I work for a boss who is constantly, I'm coming home to tell my husband about this boss who he's never seen, or a colleague who is very upsetting, it might take a little bit of time for him to empathize. But if we are both coming to talk about the client who was from hell, we have this shared story that really deepens our bond. So my advice is, first of all, this has not just come like that. We've been deliberate to surround ourselves with mentors, and also attended programs. We do a lot of programs that are related to how to learn how to grow together as a couple. So these are church programs, and Mavuno Church is really big on this. We do facilitation for ndoa. So it means we are constantly consuming content around how to 6 weeks. We do that once a year is better than nothing at all. So if you want to grow together in business, make sure that you're already finding out, how do you grow your marriage? How do you learn how to communicate? How do you learn how to fight fair? How do you learn what the role of money in your family is? So that you're then equipped to see the situation coming and say, this one, let me avoid in this way, or this one, let me tackle it in this way.
Yes.
So without that support, it's not easy, but it's doable.
Pretty much. Paul, let's take that as well. I like what Mary's saying. Learn how to fight fair. The first fight was, I don't have to attend a finance class. What is the importance? Would you tell any other person who's trying to manage the finances now the importance of actually taking those lessons and classes whenever they can find them? Yes,
I think, yeah, it's very important.
Yes, fantastic. I can get you
one
now.
of the other things I needed to point out is also you need to have a friendship going. Because you can't run a business if you're not, you can't meet on the street and just start a business. There has to be a bit of friendship. So Mary has talked about from working on the marriage part of it, on the business side of it. So being able, currently we sit in a co-shared space called the Sandbox, and we do a number of classes there that just teach us how to run our business better. The third thing is also just have somebody who is a mentor who can help you look forward. Because sometimes you look back all the time, but also just projecting forward and saying, what do we see in 5 years? What do we see in 10 years?
Yes.
What do we need to do now to get there? And some of those now are the things we are doing. All the other experts that we need to help our business get there in 5 years, in 10 years.
Yes.
Those are the things we are working on now. So you have to always continue improving on yourselves, improving on your marriage, and being able to then say, okay, we are working together, we're going into the future. How does the future look like? How do we paint that picture? How do we get there?
Yes. Very much.
Yeah.
I mean, what a better way to start our Monday. We have been in conversation with Mary Gitari, who is the CEO of Brand Spark PR, and Paul Karingithi, strategy lead, Brand Spark PR, who are a couple running the business together and also telling you how to manage those finances together as a couple. A better way to start 2021, and most certainly opening our show this morning here on a Business AM. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Mary and Paul.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, on that note, we take a short break here on Business AM. Once we come back, let's review other sectors and parts of the local and world economy.